all so much for tuning into Town and Country. I am your host, Alicia Lewis. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Listen, we are starting off in the TNC kitchen with coffee and conversations, as you can see, with filmmaker, actor, and entrepreneur, Mr. Sydney Bryant, to talk about his new movie, Grace to Forgive. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. Good to see you again.
Now, before we start, we got to do a coffee cheers.
That'll work for me.
Yes, happy Wednesday. Need a little pick-me-up, right? All right.
A little something.
Yeah. So, Mr. Bryant, we meet again.
Yes.
The last time I was with you, we were in Douglas. I was behind the scenes of your movie Redwood.
Yes.
So, can you tell us kind of what the progress with that movie is?
We are in the editing phase.
Gotcha.
We have had a couple of things we do have to go back and shoot just to tie some things together. But other than that, we're trucking along pretty well.
Gotcha. All right. So we're on to a new movie, Grace to Forgive. So what exactly is that movie?
So Grace to Forgive is a film about some of the details of the Charleston church shooting. I always tell people it's not specifically about the Charleston church shooting because we don't place it in Charleston.
Yeah.
But it follows some of the details, some of the inspiring parts of it, such as the power of forgiveness. If anybody's familiar with the Charleston church shooting, you know Dylan Roof killed 9 black churchgoers. Those family members went into a courtroom shortly after that and offered him forgiveness. And so when I started writing this originally back in 2017, my goal was to try to give a reason as to how you do that.
Yeah.
The story kind of took a turn once I got some pushback from family members of the people in Charleston. And so God just blessed me to be able to craft a story that still conveys the same message.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that I really love about One Compelling Picture is the fact that you work with local actors and work with up-and-coming actors. So why do you choose to work with people in the community?
I think for me, as a pastor, as a minister, my goal is to build community.
Yes.
And one of the things that God has allowed me to do is to meet people who say, I want to do this. I want to go and pursue acting, or I want to pursue producing, but I want to do it in a way that pleases God. And often in the entertainment industry, we hear people say, I thank God, but they really don't have that relationship. And then people that do really serve God, that have that relationship, that live by faith, they struggle to get into the industry because they refuse to, lower their standard to do those things. And so I just chose early on that I would make it my business to give people a space to exercise their gifts and talents in the name of Christ.
That's awesome. And you also worked with some students.
Absolutely.
In the film, I think it was Georgia
University of West Georgia.
University of West Georgia.
I think I said there.
Wow.
University of West Georgia. Yes.
So is it like an internship type of thing?
So what we've done is we created a coalition. It's called the Faith and Film Coalition of Churches, Colleges, Community, and Country, FFCC. There we go. And we created this coalition to allow us to be able to engage students from colleges on an internship. They come in, they house with us, and they work, 16-hour days doing full production stuff. So
wow. So they get that hands-on experience before going into, I guess, finishing college, I should say. All right. So Grace to Forgive, what would you say is your favorite scene from the movie, or one that you enjoy writing the most?
So there's a scene in the interrogation room. It's very close to the end. I enjoyed writing this because it forced me to really find a way to wrap the whole movie up in a small nutshell.
Gotcha.
And there's this one scene, Ricky Day plays this character. He asks our David Rutledge, he says to him, well, what do you think should happen to you? And David says to him, I don't know, I'm not sure. And he says, well, let's put it in this perspective. Say a black man walks into a white church and kill 11 white people. Well, what do you think should happen to him? And he says, well, I reckon he should die too. He said, so what should happen to you? The reason I like that scene so much is because it forces people to stop for a moment and put themselves on the other side.
That's right.
If I do this, what should happen to me?
Yeah.
Because if somebody done it to me, I already know what should happen to them. So it forces you to kind of look at yourself, examine yourself.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
It's a good movie.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. And so I wanted to talk with you about, you work with locals in the community. So are you always looking for talent?
We are. Some people see some repeats, but I started filmmaking in 2010. I shot a movie in Tifton, Georgia. With the inexperience that I had, I allowed my one hard drive that I didn't back up to get struck by lightning.
Wow.
So I lost that whole project.
Wow.
But people like Brian Ray, he's a professor at ABAC, he's been coming back to these projects for years. So we try to bring in new faces while at the same time using some of the older people who've been with us since the beginning to cultivate a culture. Because what we do is we're making movies, yes, but we do it in such an unconventional way. You need people around who says, well, I went through that process.
Yeah.
And they are able to say, you know, not only did I enjoy it, but I found Christ while I was doing it.
That's so
Brian
awesome.
Ray's one of those people who tell you he was a heathen until he came to set. And now he loves the Lord and he goes to church.
I love it.
So we try to use as many locals as possible.
Yes. Okay, so what do you look for when you're looking for talent? If somebody's out there and they want to get in touch with you, how can they?
We always have casting submissions available. You can always submit. You can go to casting.compellinterprovince.org.
Okay.
That's casting.compellinterprovince.org.
Okay.
And just submit your information. But what we always look for, honestly, we look for people who are ready to do the work, who are willing, who say, you know, I don't have any formal training, but I want to do it. Because all it takes is willingness. As a director, that's my job, to bring the best out of you.
Gotcha.
We'll audition you, and if you have some talent that we feel we can work with, we may put you into some classes with us, some training with us, or one of my fellow friends, Quincy Kelly, we may submit you to him for a while for classes and training. And that opens up the door to get you in on a set.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to cast myself. I'm just kidding.
We'll get you on some kind of way.
All right, cool. Well, thank
Yep.
you so much, Mr. Bryant. It's always nice to catch up with you and see
Same.
what you're working on.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but